Paint the Picture is brought to you by Mako. Back courtside with Joe Cravens. I'm Drew Goodman and the rest of our AT&T Sportsnet crew. 34-27 Boise at the break. Time to revisit the keys to the game that you wrote up and see how each school graded out.
Well, the Broncos, I think, are playing with great energy. Obviously, they're not looking ahead. 48% from the field in the first half. Not a great job of guarding the three-point line, but that's mostly because Kobe McEwen is 4'6", and he's hit a couple really tough ones, keeping his Aggies somewhat in the game. For the Aggies, limit second chance points. They've done a pretty good job of that. They've given up 5 offensive rebounds, but the Broncos only able to score on one of those and hold Hutchison under 20. He only has 8. That, I think, is due more to his foul trouble than anything else. Drew, he only played 9 minutes in that first half.
I think Boise State also, coach, is showing their depth. Hutchison goes out for 8.5 minutes, and they're +4 in the 8.5 minutes that he didn't play because you have a Sangfelder, you have Alexis Williams. There are other options. Alex Hobbs coming off the bench.
Well, the staff of Boise State has done a great job of developing that bench. And also, I thought they made a real subtle, positive move defensively. They went to that 2-3 zone, and the Aggies did not do a great job of handling that.
Into Taylor on a set play. Good start for Utah State.
And a really nice pass by McEwen. That was a pass that didn't look like it had a high degree of difficulty. He put that on a dime on a lob where the rolling post guy could get to it.
And a travel called on Hutchison.
Good start for the Aggies. Boise State's 9th turnover. They did not play really well offensively against New Mexico, but they only had 10 turnovers. They have 9 already. The Broncos, I'm speaking of.
Well, the Broncos, when they lead at halftime this year, are 15-1. Brown spins, leans, and Hutchison plays patty cake with it for a moment and pulls down the rebound. Little pull up from 12. Boy, that's professional right there.
That's where he's so good. He gets the rebound, and remember, he's not matched up to a point guard defensively, and he brings it like a point guard to the other end while he's got a small forward trying to guard him in transition, and that just creates havoc in transition defense.
There's Quinn Taylor again.
Good job of just being around the ball by Taylor there. Haney on a nice block. Taylor not giving up on the play and just following it up for a little gimme.
Lob it into Haney. Jessup open for 3. He's yet to hit. Here's McEwen, one of the top rebounding guards in the Mountain West.
7 rebounds in conference play, which is terrific.
Well, I like that move. That was pretty for Dwayne Brown.
Remember how active Boise State was in that zone. They come out in the second half in man-to-man, and they are a step behind on virtually every time the Aggies attack the basket.
Hutchison leads in, and they're going to count the bucket. Was it a 3?
That was a terrific shot. I think he leaned inside the three-point line. But on that last pull-up, you said that was NBA-like. That's another play that here I think he steps inside. Maybe not.
No, that's a 3.
No.
This is a 4-point opportunity.
Wow. And if you're an NBA scout, what he's done here in the first 2.5 minutes tells an awful lot about the potential he has to play at the next level.
You know, they haven't given him a 3 yet. They're going to look at this. Chris Rastatter over there, he's taking a view of this, and it's pretty clear he's behind the line.
We did a pretty good job of recognizing he had a little bit of a mismatch Usually you want to drive. He had Quinn Taylor, the 6'8", 245-pound center on him, but he got him up in the air on that ball fake and then leaned in. He declared for the NBA draft last year, went to some camps, did some things, got some positive feedback, and then came back to his senior year, which was a very, very positive move, obviously, for him and Boise State.
I wonder if he was influenced at all by what James Webb did a couple of years ago.
Could very well be. James Webb, an outstanding player of the year at Boise State, coming out early and has yet to be heard from in the NBA.
That is a tough league. I've said this many times through the years. There will be household names in college basketball that you'll see deep in the tournament in March. And then a few years from now, you'll say, man, where is he? Guy didn't make it in the NBA. There's a lot of places you can make some money, particularly in Europe, but it is a very difficult league to thrive in.
Well, the outstanding big man from Duke just a few years ago played for the 76ers. And I'm having trouble coming up with his name. I saw signed a 10-day contract with someone the other day, and he was like the first or second guy picked. So, yeah, that is a very unforgiving league.
I remember Bennett out of UNLV.
Sure.
He was the first pick in the draft. He's not in the league anymore, Anthony Bennett.
The Aggies now in a 2-3 zone. Very alert away from the ball, making a little bit of a comeback run here, down 4.
Hobbs trying to get it to Sangfelder, who's worked hard to get the basketball. They dig on him. Hutchinson a 3. And Hutchinson's going to get it back. And he converts. Chandler Hutchison has taken over the game here in the second half. He's got 7 after the break, and it's a 6-point Boise State lead.
Great balance there as well. That's a play he wouldn't have made as a freshman or sophomore. That not only took some physical strength, that took some great balance.
2-3 zone for Boise State.
Both teams playing zone. It's been fun watching him develop, hasn't it, Drew, over these 4 years. He was a long, lanky freshman that had potential, the only freshman to ever start an NCAA game at Boise State, and he has just gotten better and better and better.
Yeah, he is a joy to watch. Merrill misses. Here's Hutchison, and a steal by Merrill. And here's Brito ahead of the pack.
Great lead pass by Sam Merrill. A steal, showing some great hands, and then like McEwen's little lob to start the half, he put that right on the money. I talked about these two guards doing so much more than scoring. They have shown some expert level passing here in the second half.
Haney trying to clear space. Crowd thought it should have been a foul. 5 to shoot it out of the corner. Sangfelder had a good look. Weak side board to Taylor. 4-point game, Utah State with the rock.
I think the Aggie zone is giving Boise State a little trouble now. Boise State has scored in transition. I'm not sure they have scored a single basket in a half-court setting against this zone yet.
Oh! Boy, that's a sharp pass by McEwen and a foul. Taylor will get free throws, but first a timeout. 15-12 to go second half. The Broncos continue to lead, but it's been cut to 4. Boise State by 4, 41-37. Seriously Anything is brought to you by Ally Bank. Since returning for his senior season in Boise, Chandler Hutchison has earned his share of accolades, kicking off the season as the Mountain West Preseason Player of the Year, of course, then becoming the only Mountain West player on the Naismith Trophy watch list. And this week, he was named one of 10 candidates for the prestigious 2018 Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year. Well, Chandler Hutchison deserves all of those mentions and more. And tonight, he has 15 points. He had 8 in the first half, 7 here in the second half. And he's done it in a variety of ways. He can finish at the rim. He can shoot the 3. He can pull up. And he's very efficient. 7 out of 10 tonight on the season. He is shooting 48%. Last year, he averaged 17.5 points a game while shooting 50% from the floor.
He had a high this year in conference play of 44. against San Diego State. And we've talked about a couple things tonight, Drew, that I'd like to point out. Leon Rice, his 6 20-win seasons in a row. This guy, Chandler Hutchison, has been a part of 4 of those. He's only 3 wins away from tying the record for the all-time winningest player in the history of Boise State.
Mikey Thompson currently holds that record.
The Aggies a little 3/4 court trap there, back to their 2-3. As I said, Boise State has struggled this half.
Hobbs, great pass. Good find by Hobbs. David Wacker's second hoop. Junior from Converse, Texas.
I thought David Wacker was one of the best underclassmen in the league last year. Zach Haney starting every game at the post. And I didn't know till tonight that Wacker had off-season shoulder surgery. There was a 6-month period where he couldn't do anything. But he's starting to get healthy. He's starting to come back now.
I think it's so important against that zone when you get the ball in the middle that player faces up and is a threat. Dwayne Brown turned around, says nobody's on me, and he shot the baby jumper and converted.
And that's a great point. That's exactly where you want to get it, but you want to get it to a guy who makes something happen. And speaking of making things happen, and as you said, scoring in a variety of ways, Chandler Hutchison has just taken over offensively here in the first 6 minutes.
And Joe, the other thing that's so impressive about Chandler, he lets the game come to him, and he typically makes really good decisions.
No, he does. He's, as you said, he's just been a joy to watch.
There's Dwayne Brown again, giving Utah State a lift. He's got 9 points, and the Aggies within 2.
Remember, the Aggies had won 3 in a row, and then they go to Laramie, and they play without that guy, Brown, without Quinn Taylor, just playing shorthanded. They had been playing very well. Tim Duryei's had the darndest bad luck I believe I've ever seen with guys being hurt, with guys being sick. Hutchison has 9 of Boise State's last 11 points. I guess you would call that kind of taking over.
Yep. 19 on the shot clock.
State up 7 at halftime. It's now a 2-point game. Let's see if Utah State can get over the hump here.
And McEwen called for a hold. That was a little ticky-tack, I thought, on Hutchison, and that's 3 on McEwen.
Well, he was in, I mentioned in the first half, he was in a full face guard mode against Hutchison. Watch him now. If we get a full shot here, the ball will be behind him, and he'll get right in Hutchison's grill, trying to keep the ball completely away from him. They've just switched McEwen now because of foul trouble off of him and put Sam Merrill on.
McEwen will guard Justinian Jessup.
And they're trying to isolate Hutchison in the post here. Sam Merrill doing a pretty good job of post defense.
3 on the shot clock. Pull up from Hobbs. And a strong rebound by Wacker. And it lost the handle on the left-handed layup.
Boise State had 14 offensive rebounds against New Mexico last game.
Sam Merrill, jumper not falling. I'll take it to the glass. He ties it at 45, 12:48 left.
Nice crossover by Merrill going to his offhand to finish it, going left.
Too many passes. Jessup was open, one too many, and it's a turnover. Utah State can take the lead. The building will erupt.
Justinian Jessup has just almost been a non-factor in this game.
Joe, when we first came in tonight, because they always draw well here at the Spectrum, we were saying, where's everybody? You know, it's like an LA crowd, man.
It's late arriving.
Late arriving, because the house is pretty full now.
We were getting ready to do our open. I said, boy, this is a bad crowd, and you agreed, and now they're not only here, they're coming alive. Boy, the Aggies, what a bad turnover there. Tie game, a chance to really get a momentum basket and get over the hump, and that was simply just a bad play. They've got of their 10 turnovers, about half of them are just unforced, just school ground turnovers almost.
Here's Hutchison, he draws 2. Keeps the dribble alive, there's a rip and a steal. Perry took it away, McEwen upstairs. First lead of the game for the Aggies. There's a student section known as the Herd here at the Spectrum, and it is loud. And this place went bonkers a moment ago on the steal by Julian Perry and a great dish to McEwen.
Well, I thought that was really well executed by D'Angelo Isby. He had a chance to take it all the way to the basket, kind of backed off the gas a little bit to create that scoring, that angle there, and a great finish by McEwen.
Thank you for correcting me. It wasn't Julian Perry. It was D'Angelo Isby with the steal, so I apologize to D'Angelo. Great play. And McEwen in the open court with 16 points now. And Utah State, as Leon Rice knew, would be a tough opponent tonight, especially here in Logan. And he said, our guys are veteran guys. He said, we're not going to overlook them. And there's another steal by Merrill.
Great job of Merrill getting into that handoff there where they tried to get to Hutchinson, tried to get the ball to him.
And an offensive rebound. Strong board from Brown.
Boise State in man-to-man. That was a great rebound by Dwayne Brown, going up the crowd with both hands.
That was an errant pass. Shot clock at 8.
That came off that ball screen, trying to hit the roll guy.
Rebound by Hutchinson. Alexis Williams cut off.
Great individual defense by McEwen then, guarding Williams off the dribble.
Hobbs lost it. Another steal by Merrill. He has a reverse layup. He just waited. 4-point lead for Utah State.
And creating his own dribble drive lane to the basket off that hesitation. I actually thought Sam Merrill made a bad decision on that 3-on-2 and didn't go to his left to the guy who had the layup. But he more than made up for that, creating his own shot and getting the basket.
Alexis Williams, difficult shot. 9 points for Williams.
He's been very aggressive to the basket tonight.
Been his first 3 years at Valparaiso. McEwen. And a good box out by Hobbs. Dickinson is fouled. That foul is on D'Angelo Isby.
I thought that was pretty good defense, and I said in the first half, the old coach in me coming out, I'm not sure how you're supposed to guard a guy who puts his head down and comes right at you other than stay in front of him with your hands up, and that is exactly what D'Angelo Isby did. D'Angelo Isby led this team in scoring at Wyoming with 16. He's been a pretty valuable member coming off of the bench. Started the first handful of games this year. It's kind of turned into a super 6-man, so to speak.
Marcus Dickinson with his first point. There's one more free throw coming. A high school teammate of Trey Young at Norman North. And with a lane violation, I believe.
Dickinson's coming off his career-high 29 minutes against New Mexico when Alexis Williams got into foul trouble and only played 12 minutes. In fact, Boise State's guards really struggled in the pit between the 4 of them. 7 for 23, 30% in a game that Boise State struggled overall offensively.
But at the end of the night, they had the smiles on their face. Brito 3-ball, that's wide right.
You know what Boise State did, and I talked to Coach Rice about this, so they had 14 offensive rebounds, which turned into 10 more shots than the Lobos had, which is huge in what I thought was a very low-scoring game for those two to play in the low 70s, 73, 71. But again, because of those 14 offensive rebounds, they got 10 more shots at the basket than did the Lobos.
They won the glass 41-26 against New Mexico. Hutchison with the left hand, and that's way off. Here's Brito on a run out.
And that just was not very good transition defense by Boise State. And remember, Boise State's playing with both point guards in the game. Their sole duty once that ball goes up on the offensive glass is to get back and not give up anything, any layups like that.
Hutchison is fouled on his trip to the basket. That's on Deron Henson.
Here's this layup off the out of transition. Nice pass by McEwen. Brito putting his head down, doing something hard to get something easy, running the floor. And again, Boise State kind of falling asleep at the switch in transition defense. Brito now in double figures for the 6th time this year with 10.
Utah State was outscored by a bunch in the first half in the paint, but the second half, they've outscored Boise State 20-8. Hobbs checked by Merrill. Williams. 2 to shoot it. It's got to go up. Jessup got it out of his hand. No, he didn't. Initially, they said he did. Didn't matter. He missed it. And this is where home court advantage is large. Unless you visually see it, you can't hear very well. Boise State, you know, they can't get help from the bench. It's too far away.
Well, historically, Drew, this has been one of the toughest places to play in the entire nation. Now, in the last 6 years, they've made the step up to the Mountain West Conference, but in the last 15 years, they haven't lost many here.
Taylor had that shot blocked, or at least affected. Williams, quick 3, got it. And back in front go the Broncos, 52-51.
Williams and Jessup both 45% shooters from the three-point line. Justinian and Jessup almost invisible tonight.
From the free throw line, too strong from Brown. Hobbs has to put a fork in it.
And Brown looked pretty comfortable shooting that. That's right where you and I talked about getting that ball in the middle of the zone. It just, he just didn't shoot it very well. That really didn't have much of a chance of going in.
Neil's done a good job, Quinn Taylor, on Sangfelder. We haven't called his name in a while.
I don't know if he scored this half or not. And remember,
he has not.
Remember, they went to him last half with a set play, and as we speak.
And then nobody boxed him out. Out of bounds. It will stay with Boise State. The first to break. 7:01 left. It has gotten most interesting. 1-point game. Mountain West basketball on AT&T Sportsnet is brought to you by Steel. Find your Steel dealer at steeldealers.com. Drew Goodman, Joe Cravens from the Spectrum in Logan, Utah. And Boise State, they had led throughout, and then Utah State caught them and actually took a 4-point lead. It's the Broncos by 1. And a number of guys who've gotten involved in the second half for the home team.
Well, they're shooting 52%, 10 of 19 this half, Drew. But a huge factor is they had 8 turnovers in the first half. They have 1 this half. So they're not beating themselves like we talked about. And Boise State with 7 turnovers this half. They both had 8 at halftime. Boise State up to 15 turnovers.
Boise State gets it in bounds in the backcourt. Here comes Lexus Williams.
Boise State's 15 turnovers has turned into 13 Utah State points.
Jessup traveled.
Make that 16 turnovers.
No panic from Leon Rice. He's been in some close ball games this year, and typically his team comes out on top. They are 20-4. Getting votes in the coaches poll. for inclusion in the top 25. Currently, Nevada, the only Mountain West team ranked. They're 23.
Utah State on a couple-minute
drought to shoot it. Merrill got it out of his hand, and it didn't hit any iron, so that's a shot clock violation.
Boise State had been playing man-to-man for about the last several minutes coming out of that timeout in a 2-3 zone. I thought pretty good strategy from the Boise State bench to give Utah State a little different look there.
Chandler Hutchinson hasn't scored in a few minutes. He was the dominant player the first 4 or 5 minutes of the second half. Haney spins, difficult shot, gets it back. No bucket. They're going to call an offensive foul on Haney. 4 fouls on Haney.
Well, Haney misses the chippy here, and then
pretty
easy call there. That right arm gets extended and cleared some. When a guy's 6'11", 245 and extends that right arm, it's kind of hard to miss.
Physical game, but this crew of Chris Rastatter, Gregory Nixon, and Scott Brown have done a really nice job.
They really have. I mentioned how they've called guarding the ball off of dribbles, but they've been very consistent. They've called it the same way the entire game.
5 to shoot it, and Perry had to let fly.
2 possessions now against this zone. They have not gotten a very good shot. In fact, they didn't get any shot when Merrill shot from the corner, didn't touch the rim, and the shot clock expired.
Hobbs on the skip pass, and the rebound plucked down by Brown.
The Aggies, who've gone cold from the field, have kept themselves in it by playing great defense.
Sam Merrill, his first 3 of the night. What a time for it. Utah State back on top.
And a nice job McEwen finding there. Merrill just kind of barely penetrated a gap in that zone. Merrill spaced up, creating an uncontested pass lane. Did a nice job of helping himself get open.
Hutchinson left it short on the turnaround. On a switch, Merrill had a big on him. And there's McEwen, 16-footer on the baseline. 18 for McEwen. Timeout, Boise State. Aggies by 4 in their home gym. Hey, let's go around the league in the Mountain West. How about the Air Force tonight? Dave Pilipovich's team throws a century at New Mexico, led by Ryan Swan's 17. Colorado State, boy, tumultuous times in Fort Collins, but they beat San Jose State at Moby Arena tonight. Nico Carvacho with 26. Nice win for Nevada. Big win over San Diego State. They bounced back. Caleb Martin's battling a foot injury. He played and had 10 points. UNLV by 15 over Wyoming, and the big kid McCoy with 19 to lead the running Rebels tonight. Let's look around the Mountain West. Here it's 56-52, Utah State by 4. Boise State with the basketball. We're coming up on the 4-minute mark. Drew Goodman, Joe Cravens.
Low scoring affair for these two teams, Drew. Boise State, one of the leading scoring teams in the league. The Aggies, a team that really likes to run up and down, and yet both teams just in the 50s.
And that is a media timeout with that foul inside 4 minutes. So we'll step aside one more time. In-game stats, Boise State at 45%. Utah State has brought it up to 44%. One of the keys, these are two teams that shoot the threes well. Boise State has made only 5. Utah State has made only 7. Low scoring affair going in. Wouldn't you have favored the Aggies?
Well, I think so. I think you remember early in the game, I said the Aggies came down and shot it quick a couple times, which is kind of their game, but I don't think you want to get in a racehorse type affair with Boise State. I'm really surprised that it is this low scoring. Under 4 minutes, neither team in the 60s, both in the mid and low 50s, which I think does favor the Aggies to answer your question.
Sangfelder with it up top. He's yet to score in the second half. Now they're down to 5. Sangfelder spins in and ends up getting an easy one.
And that's not really his game, driving it that way. Brown came over to double team that and just overran the play. Should have got there and put himself between Sangfelder and the goal.
Now McEwen's out of the game right now as Merrill shoots a 3 and a rebound to Brown. McEwen with 4 fouls. So the walk-on Abel Porter's on the floor, number 30.
Well, this is really rolling the dice here for the Aggies. I would have him at the table right now, ready to get back in.
Brito steps back and knocks down a 17-footer. 4-point lead again for the Aggies.
That not only extends the lead to 4, that buys Tim Duryea another 30 seconds maybe to keep McEwen out of the game.
McEwen over there is playing cheerleader. He's still applauding Brito for that shot. Quinn Taylor's going to the scorer's table. Sangfelder spins again and missed the layup. Wacker missed the follow. It'll stay with Boise State with 2:31 left. Now McEwen will come back along with Quinn Taylor.
Brito's basket there, not only a big basket for the Aggies, that ties his career high at 12. Well, you don't want to be faint of heart trying to rebound in this game. There was bodies going everywhere on that last exchange.
Fresh 30-second clock for Boise State. Hutchinson. Well, you want a big-time player to make a big-time move when it's winning time. He just did there. 2-point a game.
Well, the Aggies switched to screen on an end-out-of-bounds play and ended up with Quinn Taylor at 6'8", 245 on Hutchinson, and Hutchinson very wisely drove him to the basket.
Merrill off a down screen, curls and hits a 3. 5-point lead, the largest of the night for Utah State.
Great call from the Utah State bench. Now Utah State is subbing McEwen on offense and defense, trying to let him play offensively and then taking him out defensively and putting Abel Porter in to guard on the defensive end.
And you can see on the replay, that is clearly a 3 from Merrill.
That was a nice set play for Tim Duryea coming from the bench. That was a double staggered screen, 2 screens following one another, and Sam Merrill did a nice job of catching that and knocking it in for his 22nd game in double figures.
I'll tell you a quick story about Sam Merrill. Out of high school, he went on a 2-year Mormon mission to Nicaragua. He told me this afternoon he touched a basketball only about 4 times in those 2 years. He said it took him about a week and a half. That was it to kind of get back up to speed once he joined his teammates his freshman year at Utah State.
Well, he is a basketball player and an Aggie through and through. His sister played soccer here and is on the coaching staff. His mom and dad went to school here. He bleeds Aggie blue.
There's a foul. I think they're going to get Taylor. It'll send Hutchinson to the line.
Now look for McEwen to come back in the game now. As I say, Tim Duryea substituting offense for defense here with McEwen. At some point now, with a minute 47 in, I think he's got to leave him in for the duration of the game.
$20 points now for Hutchinson, which is right at his average.
It's always a sign to me, Drew, of a quality player when he raises his seasonal average in conference play. He's averaging right at 20 for the year and right at 24 in conference play.
Yeah, that does tell you something, doesn't it? And the case is the same for Kobe McEwen and Sam Merrill on the other side. 3
of them. I know the 3 best players on both teams have both scored more in conference play than they did in the regular season.
Boy, this is a good one. 137 left, 61-58 Utah State. They've lost 6 consecutive games to Boise State. All time in the rivalry, they've dominated 30-15 and 18-3 in Logan. But the last 3 meetings in Logan, Boise State has marched out of here with a win. They're trying to change that tonight.
Well, the last time that the Aggies beat Boise was at Boise when David Collette, who left the Aggie program, hit about a 40-footer at the buzzer. Since then, Boise State has won 6 straight, including, as you mentioned, those 3 here at Utah State.
The 2 great guards for Utah State. Kobe McEwen carried Utah State, kept him in contact in the first half. Sam Merrill, who couldn't buy a basket for about 25-30 minutes, he's kind of taken over here late.
Boy, he's hit big shots. He's had some great passes. He has 3 steals this half. The highest scoring backcourt in the Mountain West Conference is showing you why now. A great 1-2 punch.
Shooter has to keep a shooter's mentality even if the shots aren't falling, right?
And keep shooting them. And Sam Merrill is just a basketball player. We talked about in conference play, he is almost what they call hit the shooter statistics, 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and almost 90% from the free throw line.
He drew interest from all the schools naturally in the state of Utah coming out of high school, but he signed early with Utah State, as you said. His family are Aggies through and through.
I asked one of the assistants from BYU if they recruited him. They said, we tried, but this was a done deal when he was about in the 8th grade. He was coming to Utah State.
McEwen with 17 on the shot clock to inbound.
Tough place to take it in, the hardest place on the court. Both teams have 2 timeouts left. Now we got a mismatch and a nice job by McEwen. Feeling that pressure from the 6'9".
The foul count right now actually potentially hurting Boise State. That's just their 4th. 128 left.
You're right, they're going to have to foul a couple times. If they get in a situation where they've got to stop the clock and foul, they're going to have to foul 2 or 3 times right in a row intentionally.
But you're still a ways away from that in a 3-point game. So Hobbs commits a foul right there.
They're still 2 fouls away.
16 fouls on Utah State. Sangfelder will take Jessup's place.
Boise State now playing without one of their true centers in the game, with Sangfelder as the post and Hutchison as their power forward, and then 3 guards.
Merrill got a down screen from Taylor. 5 to shoot it. Finds Taylor. Outside, good look. McEwen got it right at the buzzer.
Great ball movement, great unselfish play. Merrill to Taylor, Taylor to McEwen as the horn went off.
Hutchison fouled. That stops the clock with 54 seconds left. 6-point lead for Utah State.
A great example of inside-out basketball. That ball went inside and really collapsed the defense, and what a great job of staying in his shot and holding his follow-through. Kobe McEwen having a huge night. 21 points, his 9th 20-point game of the season.
Hutchinson misses. 2 of 4 from the line tonight. That second replay of that shot was a beautiful one, because you could see as the ball went through, time expired on the shot clock.
Now, Boise State, regardless make or miss, is going to have to foul immediately here just to get to the place where they can foul and slow the game down.
5-point game. And a steal. Williams with it. Hutchison going one-on-one. He's bumped again. Taylor picks up the foul.
Now, the Aggies don't have to score another point to win. They're going to have to hit some free throws, but they've got to take care of the ball. They can't turn it over. They threw it after that free throw. They threw it to the worst place in the court. They threw it to McEwen, but he was in the coffin corner where he could get double teamed.
But if Hutchison makes these free throws, it changes the entire complexion, because with 46 seconds left, you don't have to foul.
It's a one-possession game then. You're exactly right. I'm glad I brought you along on this trip to kind of point those things out.
Took the calculator out really quickly.
I saw you counting on your fingers over there. I wasn't sure what we were doing.
And 2 big free throws from Hutchison. Back to a one-possession game. And running longs, McEwen, a hold on Dickinson.
Boy, what a gutsy call there off of that free throw by the Aggie bench, going for that home run play.
But that, again, is just the 6th team foul.
Now,
and listen, this year, Leon Rice and his team, they have a PhD in finding a way to win these close games.
They really do. They really do. Now watch the Aggies. McEwen, the furthest guy on the court away from the ball. Look for him to receive a screen by the big Quinn Taylor here. Now, I don't know if you foul now or play the clock out. Here comes McEwen. Nice little set play to get that catch.
They got Brito on a run out. Boy, that was textbook how they broke the press.
That was a great set play by Tim Duryea and his bench. Wonderful bench coaching there.
And layup is made. A little teardrop layup made by Hutchison. 30.9 3-point game.
We all know about half-court execution. This is full-court execution here. Inbounding it to a big at a place they can't double team, and then Taylor putting on the floor and catching Diogo Brito, who now has a career-high 14 points. Great full-court press attack execution by the Aggies.
Now the strategy changes, because with 30.9 left, you do have to foul.
You have to foul now, and it becomes a free throw contest for the Aggies. Look for Tim Duryea to have his best free throw shooters in the game here, knowing that Boise State is going to have to come after him foul. If you're Boise State, you sell out to try to get to steal first, and if you don't get to steal, then you have to foul immediately.
Well, Brito's out there. He's a 57%er, and those are things that I'm sure Leon Rice covered. Obviously, Merrill's the best free throw shooter, one of the best in the Mountain West. He's at 83%, but much better than that during conference play. They deny the pass to Merrill. No foul came, and McEwen's going to throw it down. Hutchison spins again and scores. 17 seconds left. You got to get the foul. I just don't understand how teams fail to foul. I'm at a loss.
And
how many times do we watch college basketball games? You know you have to foul, and 6, 7, 8, 10 seconds go by, and nobody commits a foul.
Well, that it was a little unbelievable. As many close games as Boise State has been in this year, that they didn't have that sense of urgency to get to foul there. Now, if you're Brown, still has to hit one. He misses the front end of one of this. It's still a 3-point game. Now a 2-possession game.
The kid who had 104 temperature 3 days ago and could not play against Wyoming, and what turned out to be a blowout loss for Utah State. just added his 10th point, and that was huge. 4-point lead. Hutchinson for 3, that's way off. And Utah State has it. And Utah State with 3 seconds left is going to pull off the upset and knock off Boise State.
Breaking a 6-game losing streak to the Aggies. And remember, one of the keys for Boise State, as we mentioned early in the game, was not to look past this game to Wednesday night's game against Nevada. Now, I'm not sure they looked past it. I think Utah State outplayed them the second half, Drew.
I couldn't agree with you more. I don't think Boise State looked past them. I thought they had great intensity throughout the game, particularly in the first half. They were the better team in the first half. Quite frankly, they were the better team for 30 minutes tonight. But Utah State would not go away.
Sam Merrill came back alive the second half after struggling the first half. And this guy, Diogo Brito, having a career high, nailing 2 free throws.
This is inconsequential. Hutchinson, who had a huge night, 28 points. But Boise State is handed just their 5th loss of the year and just their 3rd loss in conference. Biggest win of the year for Tim Duryea and Utah State as they win tonight, 71-65, upsetting Boise State.
Well, welcome to conference play in my book, Drew. What a dandy here. What a great win for Tim Duryea. Tough loss for the Broncos. Now they can't hang their hat, or all of a sudden they're going to be down 2 games if they let Nevada slip into Boise and get them on Wednesday night.
So Nevada goes back in front of Boise State by a half game by virtue of Nevada's win tonight and this Bronco loss. And for me, one of the surprise teams in the conference this year is Utah State. 7-6 in conference play. 6 of their first 8 games this year came on the road. They've had a myriad of injuries, illnesses, some guys playing, as I said earlier, even though they're not practicing during the week. Tim Duryea told us earlier, he said, I've never had a season like this, and he's been in coaching a long, long time. And tonight they gut one out, and they get the reward, a big, big win over Boise State.
Well, I'm happy for Tim Duryea. They had a 3-game winning streak broken at Wyoming because of all those injuries and sickness. And, you know, a tough loss for Boise State. I know they'll bounce back. I have every bit of confidence in Leon Wright. But a huge win for Tim Duryea and the Aggies.
Some of the final numbers tonight, Utah State, they were held down in the first half shooting the basketball. They end up emerging in the second half. Sam Merrill got going. Kobe McEwen had a beautiful game with 23. They end up shooting it 48% from the floor.
Well, Utah State turned it around turnover-wise. Remember, they had 8 turnovers in the first half. About 5 we talked about were unforced and just self-inflicted. They turned that around, became much more efficient offensively, and they were able to come away with a win. Their 4th straight win at home.
This late arriving crowd, they were late arriving, but they're sticking around because they're enjoying this right now. 71-65, the final. Utah State at home. It's a 6-game slide against Boise State, and they're enjoying their biggest win of the year. We invite you to tune in Wednesday for more Mountain West basketball. The Air Force Falcons will be in Las Vegas to take on the Runnin' Rebels. Coverage starts at 8 Mountain, 7 out west on AT&T Sportsnet. For Joe Kravitz and our entire AT&T Sportsnet crew, Drew Goodman saying so long from Logan, Utah. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, everybody.